In this video, we'll talk about appropriately handling raw meat. Cooking meat can seem like an intimidating task, but if you follow these easy directions, you will realize just how simple it can be. First, let's talk about meat storage. When storing meat in the fridge, make sure that it is placed on the bottom shelf in a Ziploc bag. This will ensure that the meat doesn't drip onto any other food items, especially produce. If you buy meat and realize that you aren't going to cook it before it goes bad, the meat can be kept in the freezer and defrosted when you're ready to cook it. However, make sure that you don't freeze, thaw, and then refreeze because this increases the chance for foodborne illness. In order to thaw meat safely, try to plan ahead. The safest way to thaw meat is by placing it in the refrigerator for 1 to 2 days before it needs to be used. If this isn't possible, the meat can be thawed under cool running water or in the microwave, but must be cooked immediately after it is done thawing if using these methods. Never thaw meat on the counter, under warm water, or in stagnant water. To prepare for cooking meat, you need to know how you are going to cook it. If you are cooking the meat in the oven, preheat the oven to your desired temperature. Get out any items you may need to cook with, such as pans and spatulas. Measure out the amounts of oil and seasoning that you will need before handling the raw meat to avoid getting the containers contaminated. When you are ready to prepare your meat, wash your hands with soap and warm water before handling it. Meat should not be rinsed or washed before cooking because this process increases the chance for cross-contamination throughout the kitchen. Make sure that you use a cutting board that is designated for the meat in order to avoid cross-contamination. You would not want to end up cutting vegetables or fruit on this same cutting board. If you don't have more than one cutting board, ensure that the cutting board is washed thoroughly between uses. After cutting the meat and placing it wherever you are cooking it, rinse off the cutting board and knife that you used and place them in the dishwasher or wash them by hand to make sure that you don't reuse these on other food items. Clean and sanitize the area that the meat was prepared in. Wash your hands again with soap and warm water. To be sure that your meat is completely cooked, you can use the temperature chart shown below to determine if your meat has reached the necessary internal temperature. The meat thermometer should be poked through the side of the meat into the middle. Check the temperature, and if the meat still has not reached its safe internal temperature, be sure to clean the thermometer with an alcohol swab before checking the temperature again. Some meats do require a rest time to make sure that any other bacteria get destroyed. This rest time can be found on the following table as well. If cooking meat still makes you nervous, wearing disposable gloves is another way to practice great food safety.